guys, Bernardo Faria here. We are here in the episode 9 of our BJJ Fanatics podcast. And today we have as a guest here Craig Jones, also Michael Zenga, my business partner on BJJ Fanatics. So Craig, thanks so much for being here.
No worries, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, and guys, actually we are doing this podcast today here in Tokyo, Japan. We came here to do the Sakuraba instructional video, and Craig helped us with the instructional, and it was great to have him here with us. And but Craig, tell us what's new for you? What's the plan for this year, 2019?
For this year, I just got a new opponent for my next match, Gabriel Arges. That'll be at Figure 4 Promotions in Liverpool, England. And then apart from that, I got a match with Tim Spriggs, a no time limit match, which I do regret agreeing to. I don't have the cardio for no time limit.
But and when is the Gabriel match and when is Tim Spriggs match?
February 23 is Gabriel, and then Tim Spriggs would be March 10th, I believe. It's a pretty quick turnover. Unfortunately, one's in England, one's in the US. So again, it's already shaping up to be another big year of traveling.
Yeah, so you have Artis is a world champion in the gi. He didn't win this past year, but he won the King of Mats just a couple days ago.
Yeah, super impressive.
And Spriggs has transitioned very well to no gi when he's won ADCC trials. He became a no gi world champion this year. So I think the no gi rules, the submission only rules would seem to favor your style in a match with him.
Yeah.
But he's going to be a super tough kid. No two ways about that.
Yeah, I agree. Like your style, with all the submissions you have been doing, I think it's a great style for no time.
Oh, for sure. Gabriel Arges and Tim Spriggs are both guys I'd much rather face in a no points format, I guess, than in their preferred format.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. But Craig, I bet that probably one of the biggest goals this year is the ADCC, right? So
For sure, yeah. 2018, I just did a lot of seminars, tried to make as much money as possible. First year, able to make money in jiu-jitsu, so I think I did 75 seminars, which really didn't leave any time for training. Yeah. So this year, moving forward, you're going to try and do less seminars, more training, given it's an ADCC year. Try and make up for a bit of lost time.
I got it.
Well, we know you had an extended stay in the Blue Basement with John. How did that go this past year?
Yeah, amazing. Because I signed the match with Pau Harris, I wanted to train with people that would obviously attack my legs every single day. And on top of that, obviously have John's hands-on experience, given that Gary Tonin had already faced Pau Harris. So I spent about 7 weeks there. I prepared for Pau Harris and Euro training fighter Mateus Denise. So yeah, it was great training there with those guys.
Awesome. Do you plan on being back in the States to train in 2019?
For sure, yeah. I think anytime I'm in the States, I'll choose to train with John and the guys.
It's probably not a bad choice.
Not a bad choice, as long as all those guys stay out of the 88 kilo ADCC division. Obviously, so it doesn't get awkward. But yeah, I believe Gordon's going up and stuff, so I'll probably spend a fair bit of time there this year.
Yeah.
It's obviously just hard to get visas to the US. It's hard to organize like an athlete visa or something where I can stay for a longer period of time.
Good.
Yeah, I think outside of jiu-jitsu, the immigration issue has been in the news of late.
Consistently, yeah. Luckily, I'm not a Mexican.
Yes. They're trying to build walls in California, whatever.
Yeah, but Craig, how was it for you, for example, in 2017? Don't understand me wrong, but nobody knew who you were, right? And then after the ADCC, everybody knows who you are, and everybody's just talking about you. How your life has changed after one day? Okay, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, obviously super crazy. Yeah, 2017, pre-ADCC, I don't think really anyone knew who I was. I think maybe a couple people in the submission-only circuit because I'd already done EDI, but generally no one knew who I was. So after, obviously pre-ADCC, I was teaching a lot of classes, doing a lot of privates, struggling to afford international trips. Obviously, sponsors weren't paying really for much at that point. And then post-ADCC, obviously you get better sponsors, you get the opportunity to do seminars, obviously coming to terms with an image in the sport, obviously having some form of fame is quite strange to deal with after doing the sport for so long and being so unknown. But I guess after what was most important for me is that ADCC wasn't just a day people could put on as a fluke. So it was obviously, I think a lot of people get some form of success and they get pretty complacent and they ride that out. I just wanted to make sure that people didn't remember me just for ADCC, but I've just been trying to push it super hard with super fights and matches to try and stay relevant.
Yeah, you were consistent. I remember like right after the ADCC, you did a tournament that, which one was that? It was DBI?
It was Chael Sonnen's old tournament. It was, Submission Underground.
Yeah.
So I had a match, I'd already agreed to that match pre-ADCC, so I think that was maybe a weekend later. I think it was a week after ADCC, yeah.
It was against the MMA guy too, right?
Against Ben Egwood, yeah. And then a local MMA fighter, but a pretty good one for that region, I think.
Did he fight for Fabiano's team?
I don't know, to be honest.
Because Fabiano's a killer team up there.
Yeah, Gracie Baja, right?
We were just up at their facility. It's like 11,000 square feet. They've got UFC
Yeah, it's
guys
amazing.
everywhere.
And
more
Chael
guys everywhere.
And Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
And just yeah.
Yeah, which was funny actually because I competed against Chael Sonnen at ADCC and then competed for him the next week against Submission Underground. But he's such a cool guy. Such a nice
Amazingly bright guy. That's one thing I was surprised about. He wasn't anything like what we thought he was going to be like, as far as he was just like a nice, really, really smart, helpful guy. He wasn't rude and like in the slightest, just a really bright guy. We actually learned a lot of stuff from him about running
The
a business.
podcast.
Yeah. He's the guy, not to say we're doing it perfect, I mean, but he's the guy who got us up and running. He spent a lot of time. He's actually been very helpful since then. I can't say enough good things about him. And he's a promoter too.
Yeah, he knows, I think based on his being a pro wrestling fan, he really knows how to cut a promo, but then he's a super intelligent MMA fighter, has some of the best breakdowns in the game.
He does.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, Craig, and how is jiu-jitsu in Australia lately? Like,
Pretty good. Australia, back when I used to compete, was more gi focused, but I think I feel like it's the world slowly changing to a bit of a no-gi shift. I don't know if no-gi will ever overtake gi. It's definitely, I guess, finding a balancing point, and Australia is the same. I think no-gi tournaments in Australia are growing significantly.
yeah, and is there any new Craig Jones coming up from there?
The best guy in Australia is Levi Jones Leary.
Oh, the one who won the Words of Bravo.
Yeah.
I know him.
So
He trains at Unity, right?
Unity, yeah, amazing guy in the gi. I think he's done very well in no-gi too, but I don't think it's his focus for now. So he's very, very good.
Got it. And when you were in Australia, you trained with Lachlan, right?
Train with Lachlan, yeah.
Cool.
We train at Absolute MMA in St Kilda together.
Cool.
Now, what are the workouts? What are the classes like there when we go there?
Me and Lucky try and run like some form of pro session once a day. And probably like just a 60-90-minute session, but pretty good intensity. Like no technique, just positional sparring, and then hard rounds. And we usually base the rounds and the positional sparring about what tournaments are coming next. So maybe it's like ADCC trials. We would focus more on wrestling and wrestling positions. The EBI would be more, any sub-only tournament would be more no points focused and stuff. But just one hard session a day, and then I try and find time to drill. But to be honest, it's hard to say for me what the usual training schedule is like, because I think since ADCC, I've been home for less than 3 months. And that was like a long time ago. So yeah, for me it's just been, my schedule's been pretty crazy, just trying to train as much as possible wherever I can.
I say two things really different about you. I interact probably the most with the fighters that we deal with, and I like all of them. They're all terrific guys. I would say if I were to describe a mold, they're guys that were stars as purple belts, more of a star as a brown belt. They were just about to break through, and they did, and now they're a black belt world champion or famous in some sort. You're completely different. You're someone who, as Bernardo said, you won, I think, a purple belt world in no gi, which isn't as well attended as the gi. And then you kind of came up out of nowhere, out of 2015. Brendan, who's doing the camera, I had a few different bets on the weight classes on the 88 kilograms. I remember I had bet Rustam, I had bet Gordon, and I had bet Leandro. And Brendan texted me and said, some guy just beat Leandro. I'm like, damn, well, that bet's done. And they said, you know that guy? He just beat Murillo Santino. Who the hell is the guy? I have no idea. And we started looking into it, and then
Some Australian guy.
Yeah, some Australian guy. Do they even grapple down there? I don't know. And it's funny how we got to now, but it's so when I first met you, you literally had just become famous, or I mean, you were just becoming. And I would say the funny thing about you, you're exactly the same guy now. I mean, and the other thing that's different about you is that you're one of the few guys. When you and I talk, it's almost anything but jiu-jitsu. Like, you're a very big current event junkie. Like, you're really into U.S. political stuff. Talk a little bit about that, how you've found time and to handle that. Like, what does that do for you, as far as following all that?
I just like the distraction.
Okay,
I
cool.
think when your life is obsessed with one thing, I always worry about burning out a bit or losing a bit of enjoyment from it. And I think that happens with, like, if I do too many seminars, I get a bit burnt out on jiu-jitsu. And obviously Trump in the media I find incredibly entertaining.
Me too.
I'm a big Reddit junkie, so I mean I follow the jiu-jitsu scene on Reddit, but I spend more time in the American politics. Australian politics isn't as interesting, sadly.
Okay.
We don't have our Trump to keep up to date with. Yeah, but I just like distracting myself sometimes with non-jiu-jitsu related things.
Cool. Yeah, because you're extremely knowledgeable. Like, sometimes you'll know about stuff that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, we send links about the latest Trump news.
Yeah, exactly.
We're waiting for the impeachment.
It's. I don't think he gets out of 2019. We're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but where were you? Where were you last week?
Last week? Oh, actually, yeah, it was Robert Whittaker brought me in to train for a week before he has a title fight in Melbourne against Kelvin Gaston. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Actually, it's funny, those guys train. Obviously, it's a title fight. You
were telling us about that.
The funny thing is when they said we were bringing me in, I sort of expected, like, oh, I'll come in maybe to show some techniques or something. But obviously, given how close it is to the fight, I'm not going to really add too many new techniques.
Yeah.
So what we did really was I trained with them most of the week and just did some touch-ups. But I was coming in post-Christmas. I'd just been to Europe doing seminars. So I'm not in the greatest shape.
Yeah.
And those guys are doing 3 hours a day, non-stop positional sparring and wrestling. So it's like, they broke me those first couple of days.
So did you even do much like jiu-jitsu training? Or?
We would roll as well, but it would be like all the positional rounds would be like start on a single leg, start on a double, start on the sprawl position.
He's gonna be crazy explosive too, right?
Yeah, he's a very good athlete, and his cardio is crazy. So whereas he might appear fatigued, 2 minutes later he's back to normal. Whereas me, it might be 20 minutes.
So he's the champ at 185, right?
185.
What does he weigh during training camp?
I know he's over 90 kilos, and he has to make 84 kilos for the fight, so it would be like...
So he's in the 200s.
Yeah, he'd be in the 200s. Yeah, I think that's the funny thing about when I started traveling for jiu-jitsu and being a UFC fan. You see fighters and you see the weight divisions, and you have this idea of where you sit in the weight divisions, and then you meet someone like Luke Rockhold. I met Luke Rockhold. He's huge.
Big dude.
And you're like, that guy's a middleweight?
He's a big
I'm like, what do the heavyweights look like? You know what I mean?
It's like, this guy fights at 185. Between fights, he's 275, 280. Like, whoa, I mean, what in the world?
Yeah. I do not know how those guys do it.
Yeah.
But I heard that Rob's one of the nicest guys, right?
Super nice, yeah. He, I guess, I didn't know what he was like before he was famous, but I guess he's exactly the same now. Really dedicated, a family man. He's got, I believe, 3 kids. He plays lots of video games. I think he just trains super hard, plays video games, and helps out at the Gracie gym, Gracie Smeaton Range. It's out in Campbelltown in Sydney. So it's in Sydney, but it's far out in Sydney.
Yeah.
It was cool spending time with those guys because they do a lot of work for Indigenous Australian communities.
Cool.
They have a TAFE program where they've actually incorporated jiu-jitsu into the program. So the Brazilian guy, Alex Prates there, they'll take Indigenous kids from all around Australia. They'll bring them in for TAFE courses, government funded, and some of the courses involve.
So what's a TAFE
jiu-jitsu.
course?
TAFE would be like university, and then there'd be TAFE level education. So I guess it's post high school, but it wouldn't be it'd be more like trade sort of hands-on stuff. But it's cool. They've got Gracie Jiu-Jitsu,
nice.
Government-funded programs.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Really cool.
Oh, Craig, and I remember last time I met you, I asked you, Craig, how did you develop all these leg locks and this and that? And you told me that it was watching a lot of online videos, right?
Yeah.
So how was it? Because we sell instructional videos, right? So when I was growing up, for example, blue, purple belt, we didn't have like too many jiu-jitsu videos online, you know, like I remember there was only like DVDs that they would not even arrive in Brazil. It was more like US and I was leaving Brazil. So how was it for you like to learn the leg locks actually watching the videos? So
Right, yeah. Well, I started, I gotta think way back. I think probably the first instruction I ever bought was Karu Parisian's Judo for MMA.
Wow.
That was the first one I ever bought, and then I think I started getting into Ryan Hall stuff. Ryan Hall's got some great stuff out there. I think there was a time period where everyone was focused on Ryan Hall instructionals. And then later on, I would just start watching anything I could get my hands on, because my school was a pretty small school. So I remember me and my training partner, Lachlan Warren, and we were the only purple belts in the entire gym. We would just sit around the gym all day with the laptop on the mats, watching instructionals. It was you guys produced the Meow instructional, right?
yeah.
So we watched we had just been to America and got killed with the Berimbolo, and we were super frustrated about it. So we're like, what's the resource? We got the Meow DVD, and we just sat there drilling over and over and over again. I reckon we probably spent close to like 40, 50 hours trying to figure that stuff
Really?
out. There, all day, every day, trying to figure it out. And we're both probably pretty average at the Berimbolo, so now we were having to figure it out.
But you know what though? You just did a technique with Bernardo where you started off in a butterfly and you inverted. I can see the way you inverted. That you've done that a lot. It's amazing how these skills will come up later in life.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes you spend a lot of time drilling a technique from a DVD or something, and what you don't realize is you are developing a particular skill that, even though if you can't apply it to the technique immediately, gives you skills for later.
But by studying with the Meows on DVD, it's almost like taking a private from them.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
You get to understand what's going on.
So sounds like you are a DVD buyer, right? So so how do you take that? So for example, I was talking with one friend another day, and he was telling me that when he buys one instructional video, he has that almost like taking a private lesson. So he's like, man, I gotta get the next one, you know, because it's when I take one private lesson or when I go to a jiu-jitsu class, it's not the end. So how do you see that? Like,
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, me and my training partner Lachlan, we would watch the whole DVD. We would be studying, then we look at the next technique. But I think it's also great to have, like how some people just watch the instruction or they just want to watch it. I mean, it's great to have someone there, hands-on, be practicing those techniques, watch the clip, try it out, rewind, retry it. And then it really is like a private, you know what I mean? You guys are making adjustments based on what the coach is saying. And I think it's really important that obviously you find an instructor that you sort of connect with, watch a lot of their material, and then branch off into other instructors. But I think you can't learn everything from watching match footage. You need to listen to the instructions.
I got it.
You know what I mean, that fills in some blanks there.
No, that actually means a lot for us because, for example, nowadays there is a ton of techniques on YouTube as well, right? But our goal when we make one instructional is not to give the person one technique, is to give like the entire sequence of like 20 moves, 30 moves in order.
If he does that, then do this.
Yeah, it's like it gives you the whole game.
Exactly.
And watching the instructional, I think breaking it down as well, I like to rewatch it. Like watch it, rewatch it, watch it, rewatch it. Because like the counters and then moving on from the counters, you obviously you want to feel someone do the counter to you in real life. So you go as the instructional to connect up what comes next.
Can you actually talk about your own journey in jiu-jitsu? Did I hear you tell me that it started in 2005?
Yeah, I think it was around then. I was more just a MMA fan. And Adelaide, where I grew up at, MMA was illegal. Australia-wide, when it was illegal in Adelaide. And my cousin opened the gym, and he was either a white belt or a blue belt. I can't even remember. There was very little jiu-jitsu in our city, so I didn't even have a car or a license, and his gym was on the other side of the city, so I would train once, twice a week, whenever I could get in really, till I got enough money to get a car and a license, and then I would start training more regularly. But at the time, there was one jiu-jitsu tournament a year in our city. MMA was banned, and to me, what I saw MMA as, I really wanted to be an MMA fighter, but I saw it wasn't a hobby sport. You're either an MMA fighter, or you don't train MMA and you're an MMA fan. There's no middle ground like there is with jiu-jitsu, where you could be a jiu-jitsu fan and you can train, but you don't compete. There's very little MMA trained people that don't compete, so I didn't really see the point of so much training if there wasn't really an avenue to compete, whereas at least jiu-jitsu, there was one tournament a year. But even still, one tournament a year doesn't drive you to train very hard if you're looking for an avenue to compete. So then I would just train as much as possible. I didn't start training consistently until I was 21, so much later. I managed to get to purple belt. I don't know how I got to purple belt.
It's only about 6 years ago.
6 years ago, yeah.
But you would say at 21, you're a very average purple belt.
Very average, yeah.
But probably in the US, maybe not even.
Well, in the US, I won a tournament because there was no one in the division really. There was no one good. So at the start of the trip, it was a 6-week trip. I thought I must have been really good at jiu-jitsu, and then I did Pan Ams and lost in 20 seconds. And I was like, had the realization there was a whole lot of stuff I'm missing out on, and that really began the journey of training hard and trying to figure out techniques. Like the first thing I realized in America was I wasn't training hard or properly, and the second thing I realized was I didn't really understand much about jiu-jitsu. And given that I was from a small city and my coach was also more of a self-trained guy, it was really like the only avenue I had was instructionals.
Yeah.
It was the only avenue for knowledge, so that's how I had to.
So this is 2013.
2013, yeah.
So what happened in 2015?
In 2015, actually, what is it? 2013, I started training hard. 2014, went to the States. I think I did two trips to the US.
Yeah.
We just kept trying to figure out techniques, and then going to the US was like the testing ground. And it was actually an interesting dynamic because we get good at the beer and bolo, and we could beat Australian opponents with it. And then we go to America, we couldn't beat them at the modern jiu-jitsu games, so we were doing more traditional like close guard techniques and stuff. End of 2014, I sold my car because when I was in the States, I found out ADCC trials was on in Korea, and I was doing trials in Korea. And I got my parents back home to sell my car to give me the money, so when I flew home, I could fly straight to Korea to compete in that. And I qualified in that. 2015 went to ADCC.
So think about that for a second. You're a purple belt, and you decide I'm going to go to the ADCC trials, but you don't have enough money. So you're going to sell your car.
Sell my car.
That's taking a bet.
Taking a bet. I probably wouldn't recommend that to everyone.
No. That's an incredibly unsound thing to do, but you know what though, at the same time, it also shows your commitment.
Yeah, I was pretty committed. I saw ADCC as probably the biggest opportunity to do well.
How many matches did you have at the trials in Korea?
4 matches, 4 submissions. That was actually where I first became exposed to heel hooks because I was worried about getting heel hooks.
Were they all black belts?
I don't even know. I didn't think so. It was an Asian trial.
Just to clarify, you're competing in Korea because you're from Australia.
Yeah.
And that's where Australians need to go to compete to.
Yeah, so we do 2 trials in Asia in that one.
Yeah.
One's always generally in Japan and one floats around a bit. And I remember I saw Kyrgyzstan, a guy there, heel hooking everyone. And he made his way to the final when I faced him in the final. But he would use heel hooks mainly to sweep and get on top.
Yeah.
Pretty effective at it. And I was able to beat him in the final.
Where'd you get him with?
A straight ankle lock.
Really?
I guess, yeah. He tapped on it, so I was glad about that. But after that, 2015, I went and competed at Gi Worlds.
But hold on, but typically people who win the Asian trials end up as cannon fodder for the big names in 2000 at the actual ADCC. And what happened at the ADCC in 2015?
Well, this is even previous to that. I qualified for 2015.
That's what I mean, though.
Cannon fodder, and I had Homolo Bahal.
That's what I mean. So you ended up cannon fodder for a big name.
Yeah, so they're like, what was funny is I was at 80 kilos at the time, so I was almost 20 pounds underweight. But I'd done the 88 kilo trials in Korea because my coach, Logan Giles, at this point wasn't even my coach, but I knew how good he was.
Yeah.
I knew I wouldn't beat him at 77, so I took my chances with the big guys. Still qualified, 8 kilos underweight.
Wow.
I just competed at the ADCC. They flew me to Brazil, competed there. I was still 8 kilos underweight. I remember weighing in, and the guy laughed at me because I was the lightest guy in the division. Then I had Homolo Bahal, the previous champion, first round, and he was able to submit within 2 minutes. But even in that 2-minute period, I remember I was able at one point to get my guard back. Okay. I went there as a total fan, no expectations at all. I remember there was a moment where I faced Homolo, and I was like, I could do one technique.
Okay.
So there's still hope. You know what I mean? So I took the bright side of that.
Yeah, but then 2 years later, look.
So now let's talk now about what happened between. So 2015, you go there. I remember you said you went to Bernardo's seminar in Sao Paulo.
I broke my foot.
Yeah, but you went there you're almost like a slash fan slash competitor, but you're there. You're not really a realistic chance to win.
Not at all, no.
Not at all. So, but you're soaking up the whole experience.
Just enjoying it, yeah.
So what happened between 2015 and 2017?
I just started training much more professionally. I think straight after ADCC, I competed in no-gi worlds and won. It was like a pretty big division, 5 fights.
As a purple.
As a purple, 5 submissions. But I felt kind of confident because I qualified for ADCC, competed at ADCC. And then
that's impressive.
Straight after that, moved to Melbourne to train full-time.
Okay.
So that was the difference. I used to be in Adelaide, and then no-gi worlds I decided. I went to Absolute MMA to do a training for no-gi worlds, and then just called up my boss back in Adelaide and told him I quit and I wasn't coming home, and then just...
What was your job at that point?
I worked at a liquor store.
Okay.
A liquor store, yeah.
So you're the counter guy?
I was the counter guy at a liquor store, yeah. And then when I moved to Melbourne, I would just be broke training full-time.
Okay.
Had no money. I remember it was always a decision, but for me it was either I could move to Melbourne and train full-time and not have enough money to probably travel and compete, or I could train and live with my parents in Adelaide, have enough money to compete but not do well.
Okay.
Not have the good enough training to do well.
So
It's
you're
like a catch-22 for a long time now.
So did you win anything of note at Brown Belt?
Brown Belt, no, what did I do? I got a bronze medal at Abu Dhabi World Pro in the gi.
In the Brown Belt division?
Brown Belt, yeah.
That's impressive. Do you remember who won that year?
Max Lindblad won that year.
Okay, I don't know if he went on to...
That's pretty good black belt. Actually, they did that open weight, and I faced Nicholas Marigali. I lost him in the semis of the open weight.
Wow.
So that was the best guy.
Did you end up with a bronze in the open weight too, or the only?
No, I lost to Tommy Langlacker.
Okay, so you're now starting to get the iron of the divisions.
Yeah, but I'm getting better.
You're getting better.
Edging, yeah.
So how did you get to the 2017 trials?
In 2016, we went to Kazakhstan for the trials, and we were all confused about Kazakhstan. We saw it was in Kazakhstan. We were thinking of Borat.
Yes.
We had no idea what to expect.
I heard they have no sense of humor about Borat over there, Joe.
No, very unforgiving about Borat. Yeah, I remember I met an American guy over there who owned a coffee shop, and I brought up Borat, and he was like, "Don't say that."
Don't say it.
They take it very seriously, yeah.
So you win the trials again in Kazakhstan. How many matches?
4 matches in Kazakhstan.
4 submissions again?
4 submissions again, but it was frustrating because I competed in the final, and I had to submit the guy 2 times. The first time he tapped and I let go, and he pretended like he didn't tap, and the ref was like, keep going. He was actually a Kyrgyzstan guy again. A Kyrgyzstan guy made the final again.
Wow.
So it was, that was very frustrating.
What, are they like good jiu-jitsu guys there, or are they more like
Tough
wrestlers?
wrestlers.
Just wrestlers, yeah.
And some of those guys don't want to tap to anything.
Yeah.
Like it's their day. That's their ADCC worlds. You know?
All those stands over there in Eastern Europe are they
very tough.
Yeah, they're strong.
they're tough guys. So you won the trials again. So now you go to the ADCC to be cannon fodder for one of the big names again.
Yep. But
this time it went a little different.
Started training more seriously. Started a proper weight program. I wanted to actually be 88 because again I'd moved to Absolute MMA, right? But again we had the same problem. Lucky Giles is typically 77 kilos. And at the time I was 82 kilos and I think he was 80 kilos. So we had a match in the gym to decide who got to do 77 for the trials. And he beat me in that match. We had like a 45-minute match. We kept waiting until someone scored a point according to ADCC rules. He beat me. I had to do 88. We should have filmed that. It would have been funny to look back on.
So now you go there to be cannon fodder for one of the big names again. You go there to be Leandro's easy first opponent.
Yep. I remember, I didn't know who they would seed as number 1, but I assumed in the end that they would have to seed Leandro, given he'd beaten Gordon at the ADCC Super Fight recently.
Yeah.
And had that match not happened, I probably would have been even more confident facing Leandro, but having seen Gordon, who I consider like a similar style to me, especially at that point in his career, lose to Leandro, not even get to the legs, I was like, that could be a problem.
And so first round match comes with Leandro. What are you thinking?
I was worried, but you know what the good thing about Leandro is like there are some guys you face where they might throw up something like, you think about Harris, you think, I might get injured by some submission.
Yeah.
There are some submission-hungry guys. Given that Leandro is more of a point style
for sure.
athlete, I was confident that I could really, in the no points period, throw up some crazy stuff and not really risk getting submitted by him.
Okay.
So that gave me confidence in the back of my mind.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Because he's not, I mean, he's one of the all-time great competitors in the gi. I think he hasn't adapted his no-gi game as much to his gi game. It's just, I mean, he's been an incredible competitor ever in the gi, but not a lot of like leg submissions and flying stuff.
In fairness to him, I don't think he's even put a lot of effort into making the crossover.
He's just an amazing athlete, an amazing competitor.
Yeah, I think traditionally most of the gi guys would win ADCC with small training camps.
Yeah.
I think over time that's starting to change.
For sure, it's becoming more competitive.
You're going to have to put in more hours to do well at ADCC to avoid like no-gi specific techniques like heel hooks.
Yeah, all these different rules creates almost like different sports. Like.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's two sports. There's gi grappling and submission wrestling now.
Yeah, I agree.
At some point, I think we're going to need to specialize at some point.
Yeah, there won't be, a lot of people think there will, but I'm of the opinion that if we fast forward 10 years, it would have to take a truly special person to win gi worlds in ADCC.
That's for sure.
There'll be so many specialists.
The games seem to be getting further enough apart. Once in a while you can find a guy who's like a great athlete in the gi, they can translate it. But
I agree with that, and especially like EBI, for example, that has like rules completely different. So I completely agree with that.
Yeah, EBI is, if you're going to win an EBI, you're going to have to spend 50% of your training on back and arm bar. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
There are certain techniques that are wasted on EBI.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
What's your feeling about such disparate rules?
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to figure out. ADCC to me is probably my favorite rules. You know, tournament setting. I like Polaris rules for, I guess, I like just like no points go on the board, but positional dominance is recognized. And why I like that is because say it's Polaris, 10, 15 minutes, then it's 3 judges make a decision. I like that more than points going on the board because I think if you pass a guy's guard and you look up and see points on the board, you know you've won that match if nothing else happens. But at least in Polaris, you might get a dominant position and lose it.
Yeah.
You don't have any certainty, so press is action. You have to keep moving. So I appreciate that rule set. But I guess we had Sakuraba here today. Quintet's awesome from a spectator point of view, from how much fun it is to compete in.
The production of it was incredible too.
Yeah, I like all the rules, but it's hard to pick. Yeah, it's hard to pick one.
Yeah, but it's cool that you're the type of guy who is doing everything and you're competing in all these tournaments and throw yourself there. And
it's hard to say no because I remember I used to apply to all the big events and never hear anything back. So now I'm down for anything.
It also seems like you're really enjoying the ride. Like you're actually, like you understand what's going on. You're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. I was like an old school MMA fan. Like to you meet Sakuraba, like obviously in today's context or even in Quintet, meeting all those guys is amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other question, Michael?
No, I just always enjoyable to talk to you. I think we would tell a fast story. I mean, the two of us I went to watch it at the Quintet. We went to the UFC together. It was the one where with Conor and Khabib, and we were just sitting there talking about, imagine this, imagine that. And I said, I'd love to learn from Sakuraba. He said, me too. And he said, I know his manager. I said, well, let's try to make it happen. And like, it's about 3 months later, and here we are. It's amazing in this world, like what can happen. And,
it's crazy. I was joking around with you. I was like, I'll give you his manager if you put me in the DVD.
Sure. That's pretty serious. Yeah, but man, it's such a cool world that this stuff can happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Here you are in Tokyo, Japan.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a world where we're not together because we're from 3 different countries, but we all have the same interests. And,
yeah. But guys, make sure to check it out. All the Craig Jones instructional videos that we have done so far on BJJFanatics.com. It's like leg attack videos, Z-guard instructional, triangle instructional, how to pass the guard using leg locks. There's a ton of different instructionals. And Craig is one of our best instructors, so make sure to check that out because I'm sure you're going to learn a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.